Morning, everyone. Firstly, congratulations to the organizer of Startup in Thailand. It's fantastic. I just spent about 10 minutes walking around, and it's great to see how much innovation there is going on in Thailand. I know it's very early in the morning. I'll try and keep you interested in what I'm saying. I have 35 minutes, and like AirAsia, I will be on time. Well, we're not always on time. If we're late, blame the guy sitting up there, Kun Tasapon, not me. Anyway, I'll give you a quick story of how we started, and hopefully give a lot of you young startups some ideas, and also give you the courage and the belief that it can be done. My background, I was in the music business for 12 years. I knew nothing about airlines. And I was working for Warner Music and Virgin Records. My first boss was Richard Branson. And I got tired of Americans telling me what to do. And I thought it could be better if I did my own thing. And to cut a long story short, I quit from my job in New York in Time Warner and was flying back to London, where I spent a lot of time. And I was sitting in a bar having a non-alcoholic drink, and I saw a guy called Stelios of EasyJet setting up, talking about his airline. And I always loved the thought of planes. I always thought it'd be great to own an airline, but it's one of those things you think in your head, right? And then I went to Luton Airport, and I saw people flying around to Barcelona for £9, to Paris for £6, everything was orange, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to start an airline? And just at that point, I said, I'm going to start an airline. I didn't think, would it work? Would it go wrong? What are the challenges? I was 36. I said, let's do it. If I fail, I fail. But at least I try. And that's the first message I can give all of you. Don't worry about failure, because you don't want to sit there at 55 and say, I wish I did it, because it's too late. You can't press the rewind button and say, I want to do it again. So if you have an idea, and that's the most important thing, have a good idea. For me, making airline tickets cheap was a no-brainer. It was something that really would work. And so I decided to go and do it. As I always tell Tasapon, there's a very fine line between brilliance and stupidity. It's very, very thin. But, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And so I came back with the vision. I called up my wife, who actually is not my wife anymore, and I said, I've left the music business, and she was thrilled. And I said, I'm going to start an airline. After she stopped laughing, I said, no, I'm very serious, I'm going to do it. And I roped in two of my friends from the music business, Kamarudin and Aziz. Everyone thought it was a joke, you know, going from the music business to airlines. And later on, I asked Tasapon to join me to set up AirAsia Thailand. He was also from the music business. When I called him, he was with Ad Carabao, having about the 17th whiskey at lunchtime, and I said, I'm going to start an airline. Of course, he laughed, but 2 days later, he joined and has built a fantastic airline in Thailand. So don't worry about people laughing at you. Don't worry about all the advice you give. If you have an idea, if it's in your heart, just do it. And it's fantastic that Thailand is pushing this so hard. It's really impressive for me. Just in the 10-15 minutes I went round, unfortunately we're short of time. I would love to spend more time looking around, but I already saw two companies that AirAsia would love to be involved in. So I'll give you our story. Came back to Malaysia. We got a license to start AirAsia from the Prime Minister. He didn't give us a new license. He said, go buy an airline. And we had this presentation with him. He loved the idea. And so he said, I give you my blessing. And so we were all very excited for like 2 seconds. Then he said, but you have to buy an airline. And so we had like 500,000 US. That's all the money we had, me and my partners. So my partners came out and said, how are we going to buy an airline? And I said, no, there must be an airline for sale. Someone is on our side, that we saw the Prime Minister. And we found two airlines. One was called Pelangi Air. And we went to see them. And if you look at the balance sheet, actually you had to be God or pretty close to God to turn around that airline. I have never seen a balance sheet like that in my life. Actually, the balance sheet didn't balance. So we kind of moved away from that. And then we found AirAsia, which was owned by a big company, a big Malaysian conglomerate. And they had two planes, had lost about $150 million. And we went to see them and we said, can we buy your airline? And they said, you can have it tomorrow. And then I met the CEO and I said, can we buy it? And he said, yep, you can have it tomorrow. And he said, how much will you pay me for this airline? And I said, 25 cents. And he said, yep, you can still have it tomorrow. And I thought, damn, I should have said, pay me to take this airline away. And so on September the 8th, 2001, we signed to buy AirAsia. 3 days later was 9/11. Welcome to the airline business. And subject to due diligence, because me and my partner, Kamarudin, were mortgaging our house to get more cash in. And on December the 8th, 2001, we took over AirAsia. And that's us. We paid 1 ringgit, which is effectively 25 cents. And that was us on the first day at Subang Airport in Kuala Lumpur. We took over 2 planes, 250 terrified staff, because suddenly they saw guys from the music business as their new owners, as opposed to a big conglomerate. I can already see this. And that was the old AirAsia. I'm going to give you my first lesson is on branding. So I don't know why airlines are fixated by animals. We have birds, we have tigers, we have lions. In Malaysia, we have one named after an insect called firefly. Really stupid name, because it's the shortest living insect in the insect kingdom. So I decided, so the first lesson for you guys on branding, stick to one image. If you think of the biggest brands in the world, there's only one image in your mind. If I say Coca-Cola, you're all thinking of Coca-Cola. If I say Nike, you're all thinking of the swoosh. If I say McDonald's, you're thinking of the M. So we decided to drop the bird, which I always thought was facing the wrong way anyway, and use AirAsia as our logo. And we said, let's invest all our money, we didn't have very much money, into one image. And so again, when I'm walking around the exhibition, I saw companies with many logos, with different colors. You have very little attention to very little time to grab someone's attention. And so play with the best colors and play with one image so that it's catchy and make the name as easy as possible. And so that's where we've done. We changed our colors, we used AirAsia as the logo, and we started to buy Airbus. And over the last 14 years, we've had an incredible journey. We've gone from 2 aircraft to 200 aircraft. We fly over 200 routes, and we've carried 300 million people. And this year itself, we will carry 60 million people in a year. So we've gone from 200,000 passengers in our first year, in 2002, to this year we'll carry 60 million passengers. And what's made me most proud is that, again, if you want to be the best, you've got to compete with the best. Don't look to be protected. Don't look to ask the government to protect you. We people in ASEAN are as good as anyone else. Believe in your ability. And over the last 14 years, 7 of those years, we have been the world's best airline, world's best low-cost airline. So it shows you what can be done if you have great staff and you have great people who really push the envelope. So that's over the last 14 years. So what's our secret? So this is what I hopefully will tell you. please don't pass this message to any airline in Thailand, especially the bird one or the lion one. Okay, Tasapon's good friends. Okay, really the biggest part of our story today is people. Your biggest asset are the people you hire. AirAsia has gone from 200 staff to 17,000 people. And if you look around our company, many of these people have grown from within the company. I mean, if you look at Tasapon, he was selling Ad Carabao records. Now he's one of the top airline executives in the world. So my job is really to turn raw diamonds into diamonds, is to find people and show them that they are capable of doing a lot more than they actually believe they can. And that's your biggest asset as a startup, to find the right people to make it happen. AirAsia is not about one or two people. It's about a fantastic team that all has the same vision that can make it happen. So my second bit advice is really surround yourself with good people and surround yourself with people who have the same passion and the same vision. If you look at Irene, our CEO, she was just a finance manager. And about 3 years ago, I said, you could be a CEO. And now she's CEO of AirAsia Malaysia and doing a fantastic job and one of the top female executives in Malaysia. Ben was just an investor relations guy. And he came to me and said, someone's offered me double my money to join another company. And I said, you can go. But I said, you could one day be CEO. You have the potential. Learn from me, learn from Taspon, learn from us, and you have that ability. And within 1 year, he became CEO of AirAsia X. So the way you grow your company is not just about the product, it's about the people in your organization. And Logan is a great story. I'm just going to move this. He was a Singapore Airlines steward. And I was coming into Singapore, and he came up to me in the airport and said, can I take a photograph? And I said, yeah, sure. And then he said, I'd love to work for AirAsia. And I thought, okay. So I said, look, if they let me into the country, because that time I was fighting with Singapore a lot, on KL Singapore route, I will interview you at the passport counter. And I interviewed him, and he was super smart. And half an hour later, we gave him a contract. I said, you wait here. And he resigned from Singapore Airlines. He was a leading steward. He joined us in guest services. 3 years later, he's CEO of AirAsia Singapore, and he's done an amazing job for us. The Singaporeans really didn't like me very much before, but thanks to Logan, he has transformed that relationship. And so people is also your brand. And just on branding is not just about advertising outside. The most important part of branding to me is internal branding, making sure your staff know what your brand is all about. And we spend too much time sometimes on advertising, but not talking internally to your own staff, because they're your biggest really marketing tool, are your own staff. So we have a department, a culture department, that focuses on internal branding. And here are a couple of really great stories. In the old days, I used to carry bags. I used to be a cabin crew, and I used to check in people. I did it for two reasons. One, we couldn't grow unless we couldn't grow unless we had good people. And secondly, I don't think you can be an effective CEO unless you go down to the ground and know what your team are doing, so you can make the right decisions. So when we went from 737 to Airbus, it's slightly taller. And we used to just throw in the bags in the 737. Actually, not throw in the bags. Lovingly put the bag. Nice bag. Dr. Kobsak's bag, nice bag, put it in. And when we went to the Airbus, my boys came to me and said, look, we can't put bags, we can't throw them in. We need belt loaders. And I said, no, that's too expensive. We carry on. So the next time I was carrying bags, they put me on the Indonesian flights. Now, people who fly on AirAsia generally bring their house with them, okay? People who fly to Indonesia bring their neighbor's house as well. So there's a lot of bags, And I almost broke my back in the process. And I said, okay, I'm wrong. you're right, we go buy belt loaders. Now, if I didn't carry the bags myself and I sat in my office, I would have made the wrong decision, and I probably would have started a union, and I probably would have created a lot of back operations. So I think it's important as a leader, no matter how fast you grow, no matter how high you get, no matter how rich you are, that you never lose sight of what your staff go through and that you're open and available to them all the time. And here are two good stories, right? I mean, Tasapon, there were no female pilots in AirAsia. And I remember asking my chief pilot, why are there no female pilots? And he came up with the most ridiculous reason known to mankind, which can never be repeated. And I said, if a woman can run a country, she can certainly fly a plane. And today we have 62 female pilots. And the other day was history. Captain was female, co-pilot was female, all the cabin crew were female, and all the passengers were male. No, that last bit's not true. But again, I never understood why the airline industry missed out half of the population. And we would never have grown like we had if we didn't take different decisions. And the girl on the right was approached Tasapon after she won Miss Thailand and said she wants to be a pilot. And she's super smart. She came in and now she's about to be a captain, or she is a captain now. And so she came from Miss Thailand to be a captain in AirAsia. So we're the only airline in the world with a Miss Thailand flying for them. Okay? Beat that, Singapore Airlines. But the moral of the story is, because we have a very flat structure, anyone can ask anything. Anyone can pick up the phone to Tasapon or me or anyone and say, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. There is no hierarchy. And that's what makes us unique, in that I rather have 17,000 brains working for me than just 10. Many Asian companies, the top 10 directors decide everything and the rest are implementers. But really for us, we believe that everyone has an idea and everyone can contribute, and it doesn't matter what school you went to or what university you went to, or even if you left school at 13, if you have a brain and you want to excel, we will give you the best chance. And that again is what I recommend to all of you here, is don't just look at the CV, because certain people came from different economic conditions. I was lucky, I went to a good university, but there are a lot of people who left school at 13 or 14 due to financial reasons, who are much, much smarter than me, which is the story on the right. When I was carrying bags, I met so many smart people who were carrying bags with me, but left school at 13 or 14. So when we started our cadet pilot program, we opened it up to everyone. I said, I don't care whether you went to university or Oxford or Cambridge, as long as you want to be a pilot and you have the brains, we will support you. And of the first 18 cadets, 11 came from within the company. Store boys, check-in assistants, and there was one boy from East Malaysia who had left school at 13 years old, but was super, super smart. And I gave him a scholarship because he didn't have money to even take the entrance exams. And he got the highest marks in Malaysian Flying Academy. And today, he's a captain in AirAsia. So he joined to carry bags, and now he's a captain in AirAsia and one of our best pilots, actually. So if we didn't think unconventionally, we would have missed that great talent. And Coogan, on the right-hand side, was very emotional for me. He was my dispatch boy. He used to deliver mail, and his dream was to be a pilot. It took him 11 times to pass the exams, but he passed it, and now he's a first officer in AirAsia and doing very, very well. So he just graduated about 8 months ago. So you imagine you join as a dispatch boy, and now you're a first officer. So that's the biggest asset we have in Thailand. I see so many brilliant people, so many people with dynamism, with energy, with ideas. It's really for us as leaders to allow that talent to grow. And looking at this wonderful conference is an excellent way to bring the entrepreneurial spirit and develop people and grow people. And here are a couple of stories that happened over the last 2 days. We're kind of a strange company. We're like a big family. So Kate over there is our first captain. She was a stewardess, and she told Tasapon she wanted to be a pilot. Of course, we funded her. She was from the first batch of stewardesses, and now she's a captain. And when I was walking around the office, I saw her, and she was pregnant. I didn't know she was even married. And she's our first captain in AirAsia who is going to have a baby. Hopefully not when she's flying the plane. Anyway, she's grounded now. But these are the great stories, and we have hundreds and hundreds of these stories, like Kate, who never dreamt of being a pilot, and now is a captain, and soon will be an instructor. We have hundreds of those stories all over AirAsia. And we have crazy things like the other day, one of our captains proposed to his girlfriend at Don Mueang Airport, which was funded by Tasapon. So we have many husband and wife couples, we have many father and daughter, father and son in our airline. And so we break all the conventional rules. And as long as you have a talent, I spend most of my time walking around the office. And that's my desk. I don't have an office. I dressed up today because later on we're seeing the Prime Minister. But normally I wear jeans and t-shirt, and Tasapon wears shorts. We believe that if we look worse than our staff, then they'll be very comfortable talking to us. Sometimes if you wear a suit, you put a distance between yourself and your staff. But when you look worse than your staff, they feel very comfortable approaching you. It gets me into problems at Malaysian airport security because they think I'm a Bangladeshi immigrant that's just jumped off a plane, but I live with that. We have no officers because I think officers sometimes, we try to be as transparent, as open, and that's why we have no unions, even though we have 17,000 staff. Everyone says they have an open door policy, but then the door is always closed. And so one day I just knocked all the officers down, and we're very open plan. Anyone can talk to anyone. Everyone knows what's going on. And that, I think, leads to a very functional company. So office politics and bureaucracy is the biggest killer of innovation. And everyone talks about innovation, and obviously this conference is all about innovation. You have to create an environment for innovation. You have to create an environment that people aren't scared to take a chance, to take a risk, to give an idea. And so we work very, very hard on our culture to make it happen. So that's the whole bit of people. I think the second most important thing that many startups fail is branding and marketing. You might have the greatest idea in the world, but if no one knows about it, you're doomed. So please make sure you put some money and budget towards making people know about your great idea. So, we did crazy things. We sponsored Manchester United. Very, very painful because I hate that football club. But you have to be a prostitute once in a while. And we only had 7 planes when we sponsored Manchester United. People used to think we're not safe, you could fly next to a chicken, you carry your own bags onto the plane. But as soon as we sponsored Manchester United, people treated us differently. Oh wow, they sponsor Manchester United. And we were tiny compared to Budweiser, AIG, etc. But we didn't care because we were very proud of our brand. And actually Manchester United voted us the top sponsor for that year. The players voted us because the players loved us. Probably because of our cabin crew, but it didn't make any difference. We were still very, very popular. So please check your advertising. We also do cheeky ads. This is when Tiger Air launched in Singapore. We hired a tiger, all under control by the Royal Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. We drugged him a bit and put 2 of our cabin crew there and said AirAsia tames even the wildest tiger with our low fares. So we're always a bit controversial. When we started Macau, we said at least we have a low fare to take you home when you lose all your money. So please put some money towards branding. And as a startup, there's so many great ways now from when I did it 14 years ago. I'll come back to this in a second. Oops, we haven't got it here. But, or maybe it's coming. Social media is really a critical weapon for you as a startup to build your brand, and I'll come to it in a second. Also, as a startup, as I went right at the beginning of the speech, make sure you build a product that people want, and then you're halfway through, and look for markets and tap new markets. We opened an airport in Utapao that no one was using before, only charter flights. We've done international flights from Hajai that again no one was using. And we've had fantastic discussions with Dr. Somkit, and we're looking at investing a lot more in Thailand thanks to the openness and the very proactive stance of the government in working with business. And we believe we can open up many, many more direct routes. Thailand should be the center of ASEAN, and it should be the gateway to ASEAN, which also gives you a tremendous opportunity in building your business, which I'll come to it. Maybe I will move my head office here and buy an apartment in a place next to the Bangkok transit system. I'm told we're going to have a rail station to Don Muang soon. But you live in a fantastic country with fantastic opportunities, and we at AirAsia see the enormous potential that can be got here, and as a startup, really we can be the center of ASEAN. I'll talk about that for 1 second. ASEAN is a fantastic opportunity for startups, and if you look at Grab Taxi and Zalora, because there's not much regulation, they have built ASEAN businesses very, very quickly. And as opposed to marketing to 70 million people, you're now going to market to 700 million people. And that's what we saw at AirAsia. We saw not just Malaysia, we saw a fantastic ASEAN market. And we've made ASEAN smaller because 50% of our routes are routes in ASEAN that were never done before. And hence we've created an ASEAN tourism market. And I believe in the tech space and the startup phase, there is tremendous opportunity from ASEAN. And the tech world is showing it, that you can break down these borders. And Grab Taxi is a fantastic example of that, and Zalora is a fantastic example. And I think there's time for an ASEAN Alipay and an ASEAN Amazon, and we are doing what we can to make sure ASEAN lives up to its dream of a single market. And technology is your biggest friend against incumbents. AirAsia was able to grow very quickly because we were the first airline to use the internet. No one used the internet before us. Now 85% of our business is on the internet. And most of you are buying tickets on your mobile phone. That's our next generation. So really, against the big airlines, we were able to grow very fast because we use technology. And that's your big advantage. And the one on the right, bottom right, is your biggest branding weapon and your cheapest way to promote yourself. Social media is something we adopted very early. We now have about 42 million people following us on various channels on social media. Myself, I have 1 million people following me on Twitter, and it's a very, very powerful tool. It's not always good stuff. There are a lot of complaints, but complaints are good. Complaints are free market research. Someone bothered to write to you to tell you that your airline was bad, and a lot of companies pay lots of money to consultants to tell them their airline is bad. At least we get it for free from all of you. So use social media to build your brand. Use social media to hit a new market. I'm a big believer in Snapchat. I think it's going to be very, very powerful. I'm a big believer in video, and we have an incubator, so if there are any great ideas there, from content to fintech, we really would love to listen to your ideas. We have an incubator called Tune Labs, and at AirAsia we're investing in many tech companies that have an ASEAN vision. So my email is tonyfernandes@airasia.com. If you have a great idea, send it to me. But in terms of branding, please put some money behind branding, and social media is a great way of doing that. I mentioned Thailand. I've mentioned kind of what I've said. I really believe, and having met Dr. Somkit, I have to say he's the best Deputy Prime Minister I've ever met. He's really quick. He really believes in entrepreneurs, which many governments fail to see. And I think you are the next generation in terms of generating more entrepreneurial value. And as I said, Thailand, I think, can be the center of economic growth and of spurring ASEAN. And that hence AirAsia is very committed and to look at investing in Thailand going forward. I mean, these are the possible destinations that we're looking at over the next few years. Before I finish the last thing, I want to tell you that being an entrepreneur, there's always going to be problems. Don't think it's smooth sailing. AirAsia, we've been through everything. SARS, bird flu, tsunami, earthquakes, national carriers, high oil, credit crisis. You name it, we've been through it. You know, and obviously not so long ago we lost an aircraft, which was the worst day of my life. But there's always a way. Don't look at a crisis, don't read the bad press, don't think ASEAN is slowing down or Thailand is slowing down. You can always create a market. And I'll give you two funny stories, but real stories. During SARS, do you remember SARS? No one wanted to fly, right? They all thought they were going to die. So I went to my marketing team and said, triple your advertising now. And they said, what drugs are you taking? I said, no. It's the best time to build our brand because every airline is cutting their flights. Every airline doesn't want to advertise. To build your brand during a crisis is the best time. Plus, I knew Malaysians very well. If you put a fare low enough, they will risk their lives. Okay? 800 ringgit to KK, SARS. 80 ringgit, who cares? I'm going. So you can always find a way, guys. You can always find a way. After the Bali bomb, no one wanted to fly to Bali. And everyone wanted to cancel their flights, and airlines were cutting their flights. And I told my team, we cannot cut a flight. We've made a lot of money from Bali. This is the time they need us the most. And that's why, and then we came up with a Love Bali campaign, 5,000 free seats. And again, Malaysians and Thais didn't let me down. Free seat, and they weren't scared of bombs either, right? And we sold the free seats in like 10 minutes. Now again, that's free marketing because the guys who got the free seats would tell 10,000 of their friends that Bali was great. Because us Asians, we love to tell our friends if we get a good deal. And so that was the best marketing campaign we did because the 5,000 people that went there came back and told maybe 5 million people that Bali was fine. And we never ever canceled the flight. And you know, we were the first airline to fly to Narita Wat. No one wanted to fly to Narita Wat. And Taspon said, we'll fly. Because we believe in engaging the community and creating links. We never canceled a flight during the tsunami at Phuket. And we were the only airline to start a flight to Aceh. And Aceh was completely destroyed after the tsunami. But we said we need to fly to Aceh and help the community. And we've gone from 1 flight a day now to 2 flights a day. So again, don't look at crisis as negative. Don't get depressed. There will be bad days. As a musician, which Taspon and me are, if things are bad, we play the blues. If things are good, we play rock and roll. So don't worry, there will always be bad days, but keep your spirit up and believe in what you're doing and believe in your ability, and it's amazing what you can do. And finally, as I mentioned, we would love to work with you. We would love to support you. We came from where you're sitting. We were nothing. We had 2 planes, no money, just a dream. And a lot of people laughing at us. And so our mission in life is to help entrepreneurs, is to give people a chance using our huge client database, our huge data. We are big believers in big data, and we're investing a huge amount of money in big data. I think that's a big advantage. And so many startups are coming to us because you can use our infrastructure to build your business. And we will support you and we will give you time. And it's not just in the tech field. You know, we're looking at setting up a coffee business. We supported a fantastic community in the north of Thailand, Musa Coffee. And we see so many great coffee farms. In fact, the best coffee comes from Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Laos, Vietnam. And we saw so many small coffee owners actually not profiting from this fantastic opportunity in business. And so we decided that we're going to start a coffee business, and we started selling it on AirAsia. And we think it's time for ASEAN to have a brand. And yesterday we had a fantastic meeting with Kun Thanapa of Thai Beverage, and hopefully together we can build something that's very special and help create new entrepreneurs and help the farmers all over Thailand. And I think Thai food is amazing. And again, we have 60 million people, so we can push a lot of new products on our aircraft. So we treat creating entrepreneurs very, very seriously. Please take me seriously. If you have a great idea, email me, tweet me, Facebook me, or just grab me as I'm going out. And who knows what can come. You don't try, you don't know. And that's my philosophy in life. And Taspon asked me to put this up. Forget the bloody picture. But I didn't have time to change it when I saw it. But I always say, dream the impossible. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. Never take no for an answer. Just keep fighting. From dreams comes some reality. You never know what you can do. And don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. And believe the unbelievable. You're looking at two guys here who are selling Ad Carabao records and drinking a lot of Mekong whiskey. We're still drinking the whiskey, but we're now changing the way the airline is, and hopefully will help some of you become great entrepreneurs. And believe in ASEAN. Okay? Thank you very much for listening, and good luck in all that you do.
This is Mr. Tony Fernandes.